Good morning. Happy Monday to everyone, all of our listeners. This is Anna Weber with the Money Flow Show on HealthyLife.net. I hope your week started off beautifully, a beautiful Monday wherever you are. It started quite beautifully for me. Like I shared with you earlier, I do love Mondays. It's, the beginning of the week. It's the start of week, and it is basically igniting our passion and our attitude for the entire week, regardless to what we do, if we still go to school or work or a little bit of both, or just doing housework or coming up with an idea and an entrepreneur, or just opening up our new business. Regardless to what we do, Monday is a fantastic day to just kind of, ignite your energy and just, get a real good boost, like, you really rock. Many years ago, I actually spoke with a gentleman. It goes quite a few years. I would say it goes back about 30-some years. And I remember him telling me that he is planning to open up a clothing store. And he was debating at the time if he should open up the store on a Monday or on a Friday. And he told me that most of his friends and family members told him, don't you dare open up the store on a Monday. It's like, who is going to go shopping on a Monday? It's going to be dull. It's going to be no pizzazz. It's just going to be kind of like the wrong energy. Open up the store on Friday, and, towards the weekend, and people get their paychecks, and people have a little bit more of a, desire to spend money and looking forward to the weekend events. So why don't you just open up your store on Friday? And so he did. He opened up the store on Friday, and he did really very well. It was a store downtown Los Angeles, and it was really nice, and everything went beautifully. And, he kept the store up for quite many years. He decided that he is actually going to open up a second store in Los Angeles. And he decided that he's going to have, help from his brother and some family members. So they're going to be, he couldn't be at, two places at one time, one person. So his family members decided to open up the store. And he remembered, because when he spoke about the Friday and the Monday, he remembered that whole kind of stayed with him. And this is a few years down the line. I believe it was like 2-3 years later on. And he decided to open up the store on a Monday. And as you know, most of us don't really get paid on a Monday or over the weekend. But to his surprise, there was a whole line of people. First of all, when he decided that he's going to say Monday specials, this is grand opening, everything in the store today is 50% off, but just today. So there was a huge line of people. I mean, they were just lining up even around the corner. And he was just amazed. His family, they said, what's going on? It is a Monday. Well, sure enough, it was a great success. So what is really the message here to everyone, basically to our listeners and to everyone else, is that one really never knows when it comes to business. It's kind of hard to tell. However, when we start off the week with a certain energy, with a certain attitude, with a certain something that is really fabulous and something that is really going to affect the business, regardless, Monday is just as a fantastic day as Friday. So talking about money, I have a very special guest with us this morning, Bob Wheeler. And he's the author of The Money Nerve, and there is so much more that he wants to share with all of our listeners this morning. Bob, are you with us this morning?
I am. Good morning, Anna. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy Monday to you. Hope your week started off beautifully.
So far, so good.
Okay. So would you be kind enough to share with our listeners what is the Money Nerve? It's very catchy. It's got like a really great sound to it. So I'd like you to please share with the listeners.
Sure. So when I talk about the Money Nerve, I'm talking about that place in each of us where we start to feel either the jitters, or we get sick to our stomach, or we start to turn in knots, or maybe we get really excited. But it's those emotional triggers that we have when we look at our bank balance, when we write our mortgage check, when we hear that our credit card was declined, all of those things where we're in a financial situation, and how do we physically and emotionally react to that?
Mm-hmm. So would you say all those stressful moments, all those no's in our lives, or something that takes, let's say you have $3,000 in your bank account and your mortgage is $28.99, then you start getting nervous about it.
Exactly. And there's a lot of people wait till it's actually negative before they get nervous. But yes, there's all of this stress, all of this mental stories in our head of, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to pay it, or maybe I should mail the check anyway, but it'll probably bounce. And then we just send ourselves through the ringer, just beating ourselves up for not having it together.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. What do you think, Bob? Does this happen to most of us once in a while?
Well, the funny thing is, of course I believe it happens to everyone. And the interesting thing is some people will say, oh, well, rich people don't worry about this kind of stuff, or people that have more than me don't worry about this stuff. But I've worked with people that are multimillionaires. I've worked with people that make $500,000, $600,000 average income. Mm-hmm. It's the same situation, maybe bigger numbers, but there's certainly the stress, the emotions, the undeserving. I'm not capable. I got lucky, and we all experience it.
Yes, absolutely. So regardless to how big is the money obligation or the commitment, it can happen to all of us.
Absolutely.
So it's fantastic. I know of someone who actually went out there and he bought 2 Harley motorcycles without realizing that his wife did another financial commitment, and boy, everything bounced all over the place.
Yeah, and that's important in couples, is communicating, because we both come in with two people come into the relationship with 2 sets of emotional baggage, so now you've sort of doubled it.
Exactly. So would you be kind enough to share with us, how did this whole, it's phenomenal. I think, like you said, it can happen to all of us at least once in our lifetime. So how did you come up with this, basically with this concept and this, this tool?
Well, it came about in a couple of different ways. One of the things that I discovered in working with my clients over a long period of time was that they would share with me stuff they hadn't shared with other people about their finances. They felt safe. And so my tax appointments turned into therapy sessions often. And, I was hearing so much of people having so much shame that they were the only people that were having financial difficulties. Everybody else had it better than them, and they were just devastated. And so when I would say, you're not the only one, they would be amazed. They couldn't believe it. And even in the workshops that I do, people come in there, can't believe that everybody else has similar issues. So that was a big thing for me, realizing that everybody was feeling very isolated, because most people don't say, hey, do you know what, I have lots of credit card debt, or hey, I just missed my mortgage. We don't share that. And then the other thing, what happened was, on my own personal journey, I was a CPA, and I was financially struggling all the time, and I just sabotaged. And I knew that it wasn't because I wasn't making money. It was because there were other things going on, and I had to do a lot of work and explore where did that come from, and really trace it back to some early teachings and early beliefs, and really working through those.
So would you say that we do need to have a relationship with money, just like we have a relationship with people? We need to have a relationship with money as well to understand what is money in the first place.
Absolutely. Here's the thing about money. It's the one relationship that stays with you till the end.
Yes.
Some people think if I go do a workshop or I do this or that, then I don't ever have to deal with it again. And it's not true. The relationship with money, we're always going to be having to eat, have shelter, and have, things in our life going on. We're going to be having a relationship with money until the end.
So it is a lasting relationship, not unlike, let's say, your relationship with someone, with a partner, that at one day can end. But the relationship with money is forever, like you said.
It's forever. You can't walk away.
There's no divorce.
You can deny it, but it's still going to impact you whether or not you deal with it.
So when did this all start for you, this wisdom, this amazing product that you're sharing with, in a book and obviously workshop? When did it all start for you?
Well, it's interesting. I knew that there were things that I had going on, but I didn't really want to deal with them. And I think really as I started to work with clients and see that they were struggling, even in spite of their successes, and probably the biggest breakthrough for me was when a friend asked me to travel to Greece to run in a marathon, and I said, well, I can't do that because only rich people travel. And they said, what? And I said, oh, well, only rich people travel, so I could never leave this country. That's beyond my belief system. And even though I'd gone to college and I had lots of friends that traveled, I just had this belief. And when I actually made that trip and finished the marathon, I just had this huge epiphany, and I broke down and sobbed, and it was amazing, and I realized, oh my gosh, I've been a prisoner of my beliefs, and I really started working towards understanding those beliefs so that I could set myself free from them.
Mm-hmm. So would you say our limited beliefs and our certain types of assumptions are basically standing in our way
Absolutely.
to really become more successful and really understand especially the relationship with money?
Absolutely. And for me, the biggest thing is I believe we all have a mental map, and it takes us where we're going, and some of us do it unconsciously, and some of us do it consciously. So the more we can become aware of our story and then decide if that story serves us, then we can start to make conscious choices to do something differently if we want a different outcome.
So it's not really one size fits all. It's more tailored and fits that, the individual's needs and individual's expectations.
Absolutely. Everybody's story is unique. Everybody's truths are unique. So it's not that if I tell one person to do A, B, C, the next person I'm going to tell them something completely different. Because they just have a different experience, and we're all unique in that respect.
Absolutely. So you have a book and you do have workshops. So if you don't mind me asking, Bob, how do you really help people? What's the main components to this program that people really do get help, and obviously they come back to you because the relationship with money lasts forever, from 1918, to 95, whatever.
Exactly, forever. Well, what we do in the workshops, we do a combination of practical and emotional. So one of the first things I start to do with people is really look at what are their stories, what are their fears, what emotional triggers come up when we start talking about money. For example, a lot of people, when I talk about a budget, will say, oh, don't talk about a budget. That means restriction, sacrifice. It means what I can't have. Instead of saying, oh, a budget, information, choices, opportunity. And so until I can understand what their resistance is to a budget, there's no point in having a conversation about a budget. Mm-hmm. And once we go through a lot of the emotional stuff, when we actually get to doing a budget and talk about setting goals, they can then actually see how they can tangibly accomplish a goal that they thought previously was just never going to happen. So we actually take steps and we identify, okay, this is something that I want, this is how many months it'll take, this is how much money I need to save, and then we actually make a plan. And once people can do that, it becomes less overwhelming.
I see. So people get motivated, people get inspired.
Right.
And it's impacting their entire, how they show up in the world.
Absolutely.
Not just money, but the entire, basically, behavior pattern and obviously things that they are scared of or perhaps very apprehensive of, they becoming more open and see it as an opportunity instead of a risk factor.
That's right, absolutely. It's a mindset, and it's a lifestyle choice. Mm-hmm. And once people start deciding to be proactive in their life, they're less in the place of I'm a victim, things happen to me. It's more about I'm taking control in all aspects of my life.
Okay, so their energy level gets picked up and they look at things very differently. So basically it's a mindset shift. It's a shift in the mindset.
It's a shift in the mindset, absolutely, because especially in this country, people really feel like, I never have enough. I have nothing to be grateful for. I'm living in a place of sacrifice, and there's just nothing. And, I go to countries where there's poverty. People make $100 a year. They're living in abundance. They're grateful. They're excited to be alive. And we have gotten to this place in this country, I believe, of just saying, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, when we have amazing stuff all around us. And we have just gotten out of this abundant mentality.
Yes, absolutely, and graciousness. And we have to, at least 10 pairs of jeans and, 10 pairs of shoes. Everything perhaps is built more on volume and not so much the quality of it.
That's right. Absolutely. And,
yeah. So would you say, who is really your target audience? Is it basically more men, more women, or it's a mixed gender?
Well, of course, my target is everybody out there that has any kind of money issues. I will say that I have found women are a little bit more willing to take a look at things. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because I do think there's some gender issues for sure, but I do find that women are much more willing to explore and take charge, and men are a little bit more hesitant initially to share this kind of stuff because it ties to their masculinity often.
Okay, I understand. And do you think it's also a contributing factor to people's, obviously, relationships, people's marriages? And
Absolutely. It's really interesting. I have a lot of couples that do not communicate with each other. And one of the things I really work with people on is learning to communicate with each other and both be on the same page so that they're supporting each other instead of trying to take each other out. Because it's amazing how many relationships, the people we love, we try to annihilate once we get into them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And would you say also it's impacting parents with their kids, putting kids through school, and then let's say the child doesn't have a job and, coming back home, living with the parents, all of the above events affecting, obviously, the relationship with money and between the people.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting, my first editor was talking to me about just this, saying, well, I don't really have any money issues. And I said, well, how do you relate to your mother, your father, and your sister with money? And she thought about it, and she said, oh, my gosh, I have 3 different relationships because my dad has to take care of me because I'm his little girl. My mom is a single parent, so I have to champion her. And then my sister is my equal, so she's on her own. So she actually defined the relationships with each of her close people based on finances.
How interesting is that? That's quite wow. And we all do that. And I think like you said, it's not only a lifetime, it's an ongoing thing that you need to nourish and you need to understand and you need to flow with it.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things some people get frustrated when I say you still may have triggers around certain things. It's not going to go away. It's just you'll be more aware so you can handle it. And some people want to be able to quick fix everything and then never deal with it again. And the reality is it's going to keep coming back to us in different ways, and we just become more adept at identifying what's going on and then not reacting, but being able to calmly think through the situation so we're not reacting.
Yes, I totally get it. And basically, we were trained, I think it's generations over generations, we're trained in a certain fashion. And for an example, it will attract us something that we can buy for less, a certain product for less than somewhere else. So money will trigger a lot of choices and decision-making, obviously.
Absolutely. And, it's funny, that just reminds me, I was down in Miami on vacation a few years ago, and there was an older couple in line, and they were debating. They apparently went back and forth between 3 different grocery stores, and so they were trying to decide if they should save the 50 cents on this one jar and go back to the other one that was on the other side of town. So they were going to spend $5 in gas to go save 50 cents on their jar of pickles or whatever they were buying. And it was just so interesting.
Yes, and sometimes, like you said, the emotional factor is contributing to it, not so much the logical and the common sense. I'm really forgetting that we're going to use, a few gallons of gas or a gallon of gas just to save, 30, 40, 50, 60 cents. Doesn't make sense?
Right.
And how about time? People don't even consider time. I mean, time is money,
Absolutely. And, the other thing is a lot of people, I know people who they plan a vacation and they forget to include getting to and from the vacation.
That's a very very, very good scenario. Yes. So would you be kind enough to share with our listeners your contact information? Where are you located? What city are you in, Bob?
So I'm in Santa Monica. We have a website, themoneynerve.com. You can follow us on Facebook. And themoneynerve.com has our seminars, workshops, the book, other products, and where I'm speaking, because I do speaking events as well. And all of that information is on themoneynerve.com.
Fantastic. Anything else? So basically it's on moneynerve.com. Do you have a toll-free number as well, or that's basically your contact?
That's the best contact. The phone number's there and all that, and we're always reachable, and email as well. And if people write to me, I'll be more than happy to respond.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I wish you the best of success and more success with relationships with money.
Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate you having me, and you have a wonderful day.
Have a beautiful week, Bob.
All right, take care.